Can you imagine going for a long walk with one of your friends and not recognizing that as you're complaining about Jesus and talking about your disappointment in Jesus and the circumstance in your life, you don't even recognize that he's actually listening to you. And in this story, he's actually walking with them alongside of them. Well, that's exactly what happens to these two guys in Luke chapter 24, verse 13 on the road to Emmaus. If you haven't read it, I would encourage you to go read it. So these two guys, they were in Jerusalem. They witnessed the death of Jesus. They were there when everything went down, and they're on their way back to Emmaus. It's a 7-mile walk. And they're walking, and they're disappointed because they thought the Messiah was going to be something different. They thought the circumstances was going to have a different result or a different ending. And so they're talking about their disappointment, and then Jesus, and the Bible says that God didn't allow these two guys to recognize who Jesus was. They couldn't see him rightly for who he was. And Jesus asked them, "What are you talking about so intently?" And they're like, "Man, are you the only person that doesn't know what's been happening in all of Jerusalem?" They said that we thought that this Jesus from Nazareth was going to be the Messiah, and that the religious leaders ended up turning him over to be executed. And then Jesus says, "Well, didn't you know that that's what it says in the scriptures, that the Messiah was going to have to suffer all those things?" Then he proceeds to teach them from the writings of Moses through all of the prophets on this entire 7-mile walk all the way back to Emmaus. They still don't know who Jesus is, but he's just teaching them the whole way. And then when they get to the end, Jesus is like, "I need to continue on." And they're like, "Look, it's late. Why don't you just stay with us and we can have some dinner together?" So they do, and Jesus breaks bread and gives it a blessing. And at that moment, the scales on their eyes are falling off, and they're able to rightly see who Jesus is, that that's who they've been walking with this entire time, the King of Kings. And then he disappears. Talk about an awakening moment. And then they say to each other, weren't our hearts burning the whole walk when he was teaching us about the writings of Moses and about the prophets? And that's an important lesson for us, that we shouldn't get so caught up in our circumstances that we can't see rightly or recognize that Jesus is always walking beside us. And that we should pray that when we read the Bible, that our hearts would burn for Jesus and hearts would burn for him the way that these guys' hearts were burning for him when Jesus was explaining the Bible and everything that was written about him. If you need help, reach out. If you need fellowship, reach out. I'd love to pray for you, love to get to know you. We deserve to be in fellowship together, to understand the Bible, to have our hearts burn for the King of Kings. He deserves it, and so do you. It's a beautiful day in Georgia. I hope it's a beautiful day where you are. If it is, go outside, tell God what you're grateful for. Go for a walk with the King of Kings. Get into the Bible and get into prayer. I think that you'll be glad that you did. Have an amazingly blessed day today.